Hey everybody, welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we created this show for you because we wanted everyone with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that they have a voice, they have a community, and they're not alone. You're not alone. Speaking of not alone, I have an amazing guest today. Her name is Nancy Becher, and I met her a while ago, and we're finally doing this show, and I'm so excited. Nancy is a chronic illness warrior and disability advocate. She's got a master's in counseling, a PhD in sociology. Yikes, that's a lot. That's a lot by itself. And in 2022, studied with the Ministry of Disabilities for a year towards certification, which is awesome. I'm just going to say it all started in 2014. We'll get into this in the show, but which started out as a great year for her until she was picking up her parents from an event and got a car kind of slammed into their car, knocking her out of the car. It was a big long thing, and it's absolutely insane. I can't believe everything she's been through her experience, though. I mean, they did some misdiagnosis of this and that. I mean, you know how it is when you get in the hospital and people aren't sure what's going on. They start throwing around diagnoses like it's, like they know what's going on when they sometimes don't. And so she, through her experiences, though, she has had such an amazing attitude through it all, and this has become her passion to support others, making her a mission to dialogue with medical professionals and lobby for changes in several industries, insurance, pharmaceutical, travel industries, so that people with hidden conditions and autoimmune diseases can feel like they're not alone. You're going to hear something familiar here. Not alone, they're valued, and they're worthy participants in society. I swear that's very similar to something I just said, isn't it? I love it. This is so perfect. Welcome, Nancy, to the show. I'm so excited she's here. Hello, Nancy.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing awesome. I'm so thankful that we finally connected on this and got this figured out, and we're here.
I'm excited about it too. I can't wait for the show.
This is awesome. Well, no waiting anymore. We're here. I have kind of a crazy question to kick us off, though, because I have to ask, because my hair, these follicles have never seen a drop of hair color in my life in 46 years, but I don't think I've seen you without some kind of thing going on. Is that for a specific reason? Is that a certain color for a reason? What's going on there?
Yes and no. It's because of my condition. I have no. This is a wig.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay.
And yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
Everywhere I go as the woman with the crazy hair. So it's a good opener, and people recognize me, and I'm able to start talking to people and tell them, you may have a condition, alopecia or whatever, and you may feel horrible about it because it's not, women especially, have to have our hair. And I said, but I could still have fun. I went to a meeting this morning that was a very big meeting that was all military, because part of who we work with are women vets, and this was a big military thing. And my hair was more normal color, but it was all wavy and curly, and it was kind of an orangey red, and so I can change it with my clothes.
I mean, hey, if you're gonna roll with it, have fun with it. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I mean, you have an amazing attitude about it. I love it, because you're right, man. There's men. I mean, more men nowadays than ever. I see them with no hair. Like they intentionally, they could have a perfect head of hair and they shave it all off and they want to be bald. Mm-hmm. I don't understand that necessarily, but yeah, man. I mean, with women, wigs are a big deal, and I'm so glad that you're having fun with it, because it's. I mean, what else are you gonna do? I mean, you gotta have some fun with it. So that's awesome. Well, let's just kick this off and start. Let's just start on that day in 2014 that kind of kicked this all off. And tell us about that day and what was going through your mind, and tell us about that day.
Well, we had moved from Washington, D.C. back to my hometown in Michigan to be with my parents. And my father had 4 heart attacks on his 90th birthday. So we had moved into their house, the house I grew up in, and we're living with them, taking care of them. They were very, very active in the senior center there in town. And the senior center was a very active organization. And they had a potluck dinner and bingo that night. And so we had taken them. And of course, if we took them places, we got to indulge in the good food and the fun along with them. Yeah. And so it was time to go home. And my husband was running around helping everybody else out to their car, carrying all the dishes and all of that. And I had gone to get our car and pull it up to the front door, because my mom walked with a walker and my dad shuffled, and and it was February, and it was snowy, and it was icy, and it was 9:00 at night and dark. And I didn't want them walking through this parking lot. So I had pulled the car, or I had gone to get into the car. And the car parked next to me pulled out of its parking spot. And instead of pulling out, it did this number right into the side of my car. I was half in and half out at the time that they did it. And I jumped to get out of the way. And as I jumped, my foot landed wrong on the floor of the car, and I actually fell out. And as I fell out, my foot fell into a hole in a drainage ditch. Oh my gosh. And I twisted to the left, and I twisted to the right, and I twisted back to the left and fell down. When I got up, it hurt.
You think? Yeah. That hurt. Just listening to that hurt.
But we thought, and it immediately turned just as black as it could turn, black and blue. It swelled up. It was just, really, really bad. But we thought, well, I just really didn't feel broken. And my husband was a paramedic, and he was checking it, and he says, well, I think you've just really sprained it badly. Let's go home and get some ice on it and see what it's like the next day.
Sounds like a paramedic. Yeah. We're not going to the hospital. Go home. And
it's fine. We'll just put ice on it and you'll be fine. Well, 6 months later, and 5 doctors later, they finally figured out I had broken bones, torn tendons, and torn ligaments.
What? You waited
And
6 months.
6 months and 5 doctors.
Okay.
They had gone the gamut of there's nothing wrong, it's just sprained, to let's do physical therapy, let's just let it rest and you'll be fine, to well, it looks like we're going to have to cut all of the nerves because it's all neurological and your brain's not dealing with it right, and the only way to fix this is to sever all the nerves so that they can't send pain to your brain.
Oh God. Oh,
the fifth doctor, finally said, well, I know what's wrong. You have, broken bones and we're going to have to operate. And so they immediately operated and left me in a cast and non-weight bearing for 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
Now, keep in mind, we lived in the basement of my parents' house because we had moved in there to take care of them. And it was a finished basement, so I had a beautiful fireplace, and nice.
Okay.
But I didn't have a bathroom. I didn't have a kitchen. I didn't have an apartment. We had a family room in a basement where we were living. And I was non-weight bearing to begin with for 3 months and just sort of sat there. Well, once the 3 months were up, they realized that I now had something called complex regional pain syndrome, which is a nerve disease or disability that, according to the CDC, is more painful than childbirth without medication. And if it takes more than 6 months to diagnose, it's one of those diseases that you cannot cure. You can go into remission, but it will always be there. It's attached itself, and that's it. The other fun thing about RSD, or complex regional pain syndrome as it's now called, is that once it's in your body, if you have any other traumas to any other parts of your body, particularly limbs, so it's legs and arms, it goes, fresh meat, and it jumps. So I now, 9 and a half years later, it is in my entire body because I've had over 20 surgeries. I've had different, I've fallen, I've hurt my arm. So I now have it in my shoulder. I have it in both wrists, both ankles, all the way up to my knees. And it sucks.
Well, yeah. So, okay, I have to stop for a second and I'm going to throw this out there because if anybody in the audience that's watching right now during the show has any questions, we're going to have contact information. We're going to put up her website here in a minute, which will have a way to contact her. This is the girl to talk to right here. You want to talk about pain? You want to talk about what the heck's going on and doctors don't know? This is it right here. This is your girl. So reach out during the show. Comment. You can comment on Facebook, comment on YouTube during the show, and we will see those comments, and she can answer them back, and she can get with you and talk to you. So that is absolutely insane. I have heard stories, but that is a doozy right there. I don't know what to do. I'm speechless after that. So, but I can't be speechless because I have a question though, but I'm not sure how to formulate it here. So, okay. Obviously that was a long, hard road of, oh my gosh, what is it? And doctors were, that's why they call it practicing medicine, right? Because it took them 4 to figure it out, right? And I don't disqualify doctors at all. I wouldn't be here for good if it weren't for good doctors and surgeons. But good Lord, I feel like their medical school experience gives them a baseline, right?
Yeah.
And then once they start practicing on real people and get out into the world, that's when their education really starts, right? And then they can,
and they're not trained on chronic and autoimmune diseases. They're not trained on the things that they're trained on fixing an issue that they
symptoms.
know what to do with. They're not trained on figuring out, well, this doesn't make sense. Let's figure out what does and see if we can fix this.
Wait, that wasn't in the textbook. Hold on, let me look again. Hold on, you know. And
No.
I mean, like I said, I'm not discounting doctors. I wouldn't be here for good if it weren't for good surgeons and neurosurgeons. But I totally can understand that because I've been through that myself over the last several decades. So just a different wing of the hospital. So, but obviously, I mean, this might be a silly question, but your family was supportive, right? I mean, they and going through the diagnosis, going through all the like during the 6 months and afterwards, and they were good, right? Like they were, especially your husband. You said is a paramedic, right?
He was a paramedic. He
was a paramedic,
he had stopped being a paramedic by that time, but he still knows.
Do you ever really stop being a paramedic, though? I mean,
no.
Come on. Yeah.
No. and the answer to the question is as much as he possibly could be. I mean, he has, over this last 9 years, he has devoted himself totally to me because it's like we were talking before the show. My house is what I call Alexified because I'm now in a wheelchair. I try not to be in the house. I try to walk a little bit, but it hurts.
Yeah.
And just the idea of getting up and turning on or turning off a light, you know, or getting something to drink. And I drink a lot of water, you know, and it's like, oh, honey, I need something to drink, you know?
Yeah. So it's almost like the condition is invisible, but how it affects you isn't, you know, because it's like if you took a picture of you standing, you know, maybe against the wall, right? if you had a picture of you would never look at that picture and go, oh, clearly this is what's, you know.
No.
But yeah, to talk to you and to learn more, it's definitely debilitating, and I can't even imagine. So
It's sadly one of the things that my organization is the most vocal about is the fact that 1 out of 2 women in this country has some form of invisible or chronic disability.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about it.
Yes.
We keep it in because we have to be the caretakers. We're the ones that have to be the support for the family. We're the ones that do everything. And if we say, I can't do this today, you know, oftentimes our family are the first ones to say, oh, come on, you're just being lazy. Yeah, or
well, not if they're smart, right?
Not if they're smart, but 7 out of 10 women, it has been statistically shown that 7 out of 10 women who have a chronic, a life-changing chronic illness. So more than just a stubbed toe, more than just a twisted ankle, a life-changing diagnosis.
Insane.
Get divorced.
That's crazy. I had no idea it was so high. Yep. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to a break because it's already that time. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yep.
And we're going to talk about your organization on the other side of the break because it's amazing. It's huge. It's life-changing for people. And I want people to get this information. So we're going to do that as soon as we come back from this break. And that's going to be great. So stick with us, everybody. And then we're going to hear about her organization, which is called Invisible Warriors, which is awesome. I love that name. So we will see you in just a couple of minutes.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back from the break with us. And you said at the beginning of the show, you kind of gave us the whole story in one nice little package. What you said over 20? Wait, how many surgeries now are you in?
3,000 doctors and over 20 surgeries.
20 surgeries. Okay, you've got me beat by a long shot. And all that, and you've still created an organization to help other people, which I think is awesome, because really your attitude is really the only thing you have 100% control over. So you get hit by a condition like this, and you could either wallow in it or you could do something about it. And I love what you're doing. Tell us about it. Invisible Warriors. Tell us about it.
Well, I did wallow for about a year and a half. I sat and I just felt sorry for myself and I didn't want to be here. And then one day I woke up and it was like I'd been given a slap on the back of the head, which is called a Gibbs slap, if you know anything about NCIS. And it was like I heard this voice that said, get up, get going. You're not dying from this. Yes, your life has changed, but now I want you to get out there and help other women so that they don't have to go through everything that you've gone through. And with that, I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, what's the best way to support other women? Because every time I talk to somebody, I hear, oh yeah, my sister has, or my mom has, or my cousin has, MS, Lyme's, lupus, POTS, fibromyalgia, diabetes.
Fill in the blank, right?
Yeah. And I hear, and then if I start talking to them, then they'll start telling me about the gaslighting with the doctors and about the problems that they have with their families, just getting tired of having to do everything for them and not, and not being able to do things for themselves and feeling bad because they can't go out to work any longer. And, just the stories go on and on and on about all the things that happen to us when we have these disabilities, which are a lot of times their exhaustion, their pain, their anxiety, their short-term memory issues, where I'm surprised I'm talking as well as I am, because I normally sit there and go, I can't think of the words. And we have all of these issues. And I just kept hearing people talking about these things over and over and over again. And I was saying to my friend, I get it. I've been there. I know what they're going through, but I've learned some things and I want this world to be a better place for these women. I want these women to be able to say, I'm thriving, even though I've got whatever I've got.
Yeah.
And with that, we decided that it would make sense to start a nonprofit organization, which focused on the things that none of the other organizations out there really focus on. You've got the American Diabetes Association, you've got the American Heart Association, you've got organizations that help with some of these disabilities, but who's heard of POTS? Who's heard of, there's over 100 different, diseases that have names this long that nobody can pronounce and the doctors don't know what they are.
Yep.
And we have them and we have nobody to talk to. And you had said something in the introduction that I totally agree with, and part of what we say. We did a survey about 6 months ago and got 500 responses. So it's not a huge survey, but it's a statistically significant.
Yeah, that's good.
And every single person said two things. The first one was that they wished their doctors would understand and would help them and they'd get rid of the pain. The
Mhm.
second one is, I don't want to feel alone. I want to know that there are other people there to support me, to help me, and that I'm not going through this by myself.
Yeah.
And so with that, we created Invisible Warriors because we want to be that voice, those arms. We want to provide hope. We want to let people know that there's somebody that can put their arms around them and give them that ability to know they're not alone.
I love that. And yeah, because there's some people that I've noticed that the people that don't understand that are the people that have never experienced what we're going through, what people with an invisible condition deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
If they don't understand it, they're not going to sympathize with it, and they're not going to think it's important. And
Right.
So there has to be. That's why I love it when people advocate for themselves, which is what you're doing, which is what I'm doing, which is so many people are doing, which forming these organizations. So first of all, well done, and thank you for forming that organization, because that, if you hadn't done that, how many people wouldn't know? I mean, you've done such a service to that community. So I'm so excited about that. Now, and then you said that's a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
So is it's just kind of an overarching organization that serves, it's not just one or two conditions, it's all kinds of things, right?
We focus on the things that nobody else focuses on.
Okay.
So it's the diseases that nobody else has heard of, the diseases that the doctors say don't exist. I have my complex regional pain syndrome is considered a rare disease. A rare disease is anything that under 275,000 people in the United States have.
Wow. That's the threshold?
That's the threshold.
Oh my God.
And so we basically focus on those things.
Okay.
But we'll focus on one of my board members has Lyme's, and she cannot find a doctor. Doctors do not want to deal with Lyme's patients because they lose their credibility. They don't know what to do. It's just this stigma in the whole medical community around Lyme's. So if you've got Lyme's, you don't tell anybody because they look crazy at you. So we focus on those kinds of disabilities.
There's so many that are out there like that, though. I know people that have this is also a sticking point for me that drives me crazy. I'm guessing you have a handicap plate or a handicap placard on your mirror, right? Just a guess, just a hunch. And so people that have those, it's a stigma out there that if you have one of those, you better look handicapped. You know what I'm saying? I hate to say it like that. Forgive me, but it's true. And so if you pull up to King Supers or the supermarket or the mall or the whatever, the gas station, and you're having a good day, and you say for instance you have fibromyalgia or POTS or something, or lupus or something, and you're having a good day, so you say, I'm going to get everything done in the next couple hours because I don't know if in a couple hours I will be able to, right? So you jump out of the car, you run in, you do your thing, you come out, and people are just giving you the stink eye, right? Because they think, oh, well, you're not sick. Your grandpa probably has that, and you took his car because you wanted to park close, or I'm not crazy, right? This happens.
Oh, all the time. I got into a big argument on LinkedIn just on this exact topic.
Wow. On LinkedIn. I would expect that on Facebook. I wouldn't expect that on LinkedIn.
They were complaining because they had wanted the handicap spot, and a postal car was parked in the handicap spot.
Oh no.
And so they couldn't use it. And I said, you have no clue. First of all, you're all the way across the parking lot. You can't see whether that car's got a handicap sticker or not.
Right.
And you have no idea whether that person has a disability or not. Somebody else comes on and is saying, well, if you work for the post office, you can't have any disabilities. It's not allowed. And I mean, that just started this mountain back and forth comments. And somebody said, well, my postal carrier is in a wheelchair and can't lift more than 20 pounds. I said my mom was a rural post carrier for 20 years and never got out of her car. She just went from mailbox to mailbox. You know, you cannot judge if someone deserves that parking spot or not.
Well, it's not your job to judge anyway. None of your business, really. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I hate to say it. I don't want to be rude or anything, but that's kind of rude, honestly. So
well,
I'm
we
totally
actually got into an argument about airplanes too. There's a new law that's gone into effect that going forward, certain size and type of airplanes have to have a handicapped accessible restroom on the airplane.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I do too. But then this person who was one of the head people of the Disabled Veterans Associate, one of the associations for disabled veterans, comes on and says, yes, but how do we know if the person using that restroom is handicapped or not?
You don't.
And I'm going, you can't.
That's the point. Well, okay. So all that to say, you've got your work cut out for you. We've got our work cut out for us in increasing awareness in the community and increasing acceptance of this kind of stuff. I mean, that's incredible. I can't believe it. That's insane.
I have tons of stories.
It blows my mind. I'm more speechless today than I've been in a while. This is nuts. So I'm not even sure what to ask you next. I'm still kind of reeling. So you have the 501c3. So that means, so you've actually gone and advocated for, on behalf of your organization is it for people or for communities in general? Or, I mean, cause you went up there and lobbied and so, I mean, everything you've been going after.
We went to DC and I talked in front of several representatives in Congress. I'm in continuing discussions with a couple of federal representatives here in Alabama. I've had a couple of meetings with some of the military people because our newest addition to what we're doing is working with women vets who have PTSD and MST. And that's a really difficult one because MST stands for military sexual trauma. And it can be anything from, somebody just harassing you to actually, sexual things going on. And so it's a real, and the women can't say anything because if they go up the chain of command, it's, or whatever. So it's almost a hush hush thing. And so I have to get out there and I have to let people know that this stuff exists and it's got to stop.
I need to put you in touch with somebody that we did a show specifically on military sexual trauma, and we had a guest on, and she was a drill sergeant in the Army, and she was suffered at the hands of another officer and had to go through all that, and it was a long time before she spoke up because the military told her, you don't do that. You don't deface the military or your fellow officer or your fellow soldier. And so she stayed quiet for a long time, but I'm so glad she spoke up. It's early in our first season. So if anybody wants to check it out, her name's Beatrice Bruno, the Drill Sergeant of Life. She's amazing.
I love it.
I love her so much. She is such a wonderful person. She came back to be in our season finale too, by the way. So she's been on a couple shows, but you should check it out. I'll introduce you guys.
Great.
would,
I love that.
she would love you. So, well, I tell you what, let's see. Man, we're getting all kinds of cool stuff here. So with your advocacy and everything, how is that going? Are you making headway? Is it
It's very, very slow. It's really hard because, as I've said several times, people don't want to talk about this stuff. I hope that they're taking it in and at least thinking about it. We've not really gotten to the point where people are jumping on board and saying, what can I do? How do I do this? How do I help? Right now, it's if we can get one person at a time to accept that their patient or their family member is not just blowing smoke, it is really, truly got a medical issue.
yeah.
That's all we can ask for. Right now, it's just one tiny step for mankind. One tiny step for a woman is what's important right now. So hopefully, we're getting more recognition. We're getting more people beginning to see what we're talking about.
When you've got so much to cover, you've got the insurance. I think I mentioned it in the intro, but the insurance, or maybe not, insurance industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the travel industry, which is that's a big bite to bite off right there too.
Yeah.
Between airline travel and all the different types of travel and cruises and we could keep going on that.
I've got stories a million.
I bet you do. I can't wait. You know what? Let's do that after we come back, because I want to hear a couple stories, because I know you've got some really good stories of triumph and overcoming, and I'm sure you've got some victory stories that would be awesome. So I can't wait to hear that. Let's do that on the other side of this break here. And then in conjunction with that, we're going to talk about the other cool thing that is a very strong motivator in all this, which is hope. That is what we're boiling down to here. So let's take one last break, and then we'll see you on the other side, and we'll get to it. Talk to you soon. Welcome back, everybody. Time flies when you're having fun. I swear, it always feels like it gets here so fast. We're in the last segment, so I want to get to some stories, because I know that's going to be super fun. And I have a question that I like to ask everybody on the show, because especially with an invisible condition, every chronic condition is tough, but especially the invisible ones. During your challenging times, how do you find hope day to day?
I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't feel depressed, exhausted, hopeless. And I give myself 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and just really roll into those feelings because they're legitimate.
Yes.
And, you need to be able to say, even though, and that's what I do. I count my blessings. I say, if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yep.
I wouldn't be doing these things for other people. I wouldn't know and understand so that I could share with others. I need to look at my supportive family, everything out there, the wonderful board of directors I have. And with each person that I talk to that says, you're helping me, whether that's on LinkedIn, Facebook, any of the social media, an email I get, anything that I get that says, thank you. That's what provides me with the hope. And when I'm doing things like that, the pain doesn't seem as bad. The frustrations don't seem to be, they're in the background. They're not up front and center. And I get through every single day by just thinking, I've got so much more to do.
Nice, right? It's a motivator. Yeah, totally. So one other question, and then I want to get to some stories. What would the world look like if everything you'd been lobbying for, everything that you've been pushing for came to fruition and they said, okay, we get your message now. Now we're going to do it. What would that look like?
Sunshine and roses.
Music playing all the time, right? Yeah.
little bitty things mean really the most. Going into a doctor's office and having the doctor say, I don't know what's wrong. I can't figure it out, but let's see if we can find someone who does. Or we'll go to a Costco and I'll be sitting there in the scooter, waiting for my husband and my service dog to come up to go in. And I watch and the people are shoving and pushing and knocking each other over and everyone's all into each other. And if they just understood that someone may not be having as good a day as they are, or if you go to the grocery store and maybe the person behind the cash register is a little bit grumpy, just smile at them and say, I hope your day gets better.
Yeah.
I hope you get rest. Please have a better day tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just want the world to be a kinder place. And I think if we understand that a lot of what's going on is inside someone and not necessarily upfront and seeable, that we'll have a happier, better world.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And what kind of brings me hope too is something that a former guest that was on a few weeks ago, I keep bringing this up, but I just love this quote so much. And this has brought me hope too. And it's this quote right here. I've survived 100% of my hard days so far.
Yep.
That's what you just, because some days are better than others, right? Not every day is terrible and not every day is awesome. Yep. Most of them are kind of in between, but we're still here.
Yep. You're
still here and you're still doing something, and it's
My favorite quote is similar to that. My dad lived until he was almost 96 years old. Wow. He was driving until the last 3 months of his life.
Whoa.
He was out and about and doing everything on his own and just in perfect health. And then he got dementia and was gone. But his favorite saying whenever anyone asked him how he was doing, he says, "It's always better on this side of the grass."
Yep. I heard somebody say something similar, said life is always better on the north side of the sod. Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with that. We're here. And if you can look at it being, look at a blessing, look at something that has been beneficial in every single day. Not every day is 100% horrible.
Even with stuff like for me, memory issues are a thing, because where the surgery happens is where the short-term memory is housed in the brain. So you get a traumatic brain injury every time you do surgery, right? So, but I keep telling people, but I've gotten to the point that, you know, when somebody comes in the building or comes into work or whatever, and they're like, oh, I forgot this, and they run back to their car. When they come back in, I say, you didn't forget it, you remembered it. If you forgot it, you wouldn't have it right now. You, you know, it's all about how you frame it. You know, you remembered it. That's why you went back to get it. So, right. You know, it's all about the attitude.
It's all in the way you look at things.
It's exactly. It's all about your attitude, man. So, speaking of that, let's get to some stories here, because I'm gonna put your website. I'm gonna put your website up here while we're so that it can be here for the rest of the show, so that if people want to reach out to you, and this will be in the show notes too, everybody. I'll have, you know, whatever social media links that need to be there, and the website and everything that Nancy provided will be there, and you can reach out to her. But I'm going to put it on the screen right now till the end of the show, so you can go check it out. So, all right, Nancy, hit me. What you got?
Oh, I've got stories. One of the stories that I have about the travel industry is we were in New Orleans to meet my husband's sister for the very first time. He did not know he'd had a sister for 60 years, and we met her. And we went to New Orleans because they were traveling there on vacation, and we rented a room in a hotel in the French Quarter. Luckily, because I have the scooters like you get at the grocery stores. I have the electric wheelchair, but I also have a push wheelchair. The push wheelchair is always in the car just in case.
Yeah.
And I was lucky I had it, because I go trucking in my electric wheelchair, and I couldn't get it onto the elevator. Oh. We always ask for a room on the first or second floor, because if something were to happen, I could crawl down 2 flights of stairs if I absolutely had to. But if you put me on the 15th floor, I can't crawl down that far.
Yeah.
You know, and inevitably, whenever we ask for the first or second floor, we get put on the 15th floor. That's the way it is. But we had been put on the 3rd or 4th floor, I think, of this hotel, and the wheelchair wouldn't fit. So we left the electric wheelchair in the lobby and got the push wheelchair that we would take from the lobby up to the room, from the room down to the lobby where I could get my electric wheelchair. We got the push wheelchair onto the elevator. Push wheelchairs have feet that come out that are separate pieces, and you can take them off and put them back on and all that. We got onto the elevator. It's like this between my husband and I, and the elevator door starts to close. Uh-oh. And as it closes, it catches one of those feet on the wheelchair and swings the wheelchair.
Oh, no.
And then it locked the door of the elevator. And we were stuck for 2.5 hours. My husband literally had to crawl over me. He wedged himself in back of the wheelchair, crawled over me. His feet are in my face. His head is on the floor, and he's trying to yank the foot off of the wheelchair.
Oh, my Lord.
He finally gets it off, and as soon as he gets it off, the elevator pops, and we're on our way. when we said something to the front registration staff, they said, well, you are in the French Quarter after all.
Not a good answer. Come on.
So we just, for the whole time we were there, because I was using the electric wheelchair when we were out, this was just to get me around the hotel.
Oh my God.
We just took the feet off and left it up in our room so that we could get on and off. Another story is that we were at a hotel in Birmingham, Alabama.
All right.
And it was only valet parking. And the valet parking was one little spot on this main road where cars were traveling 50 and 60 miles an hour down this road, up and down and up and down. You pull into this little parking spot there, get out in front of the hotel, unload your luggage, hand the keys to the valet person, and go on into the hotel. Well, he's getting my wheelchair off the ramp, off the back of our truck, and there's no place to get it up on the sidewalk to get me into the hotel. He literally I had gone into the hotel and kind of wobbled into the hotel and was trying to get our room. And I look out the window and I see him in my wheelchair going as fast as he could go in that little motorized wheelchair down that road, trying to get to the end of the block, which was a good 250, 300 feet or whatever down the road, right? We were on one end and he had to go to the other end. And I'm going, he just having fun riding around in my wheelchair or what,
Oh, well, that's a story for him later, too. He's like, you would never believe what I had to do.
Yeah.
To park a car this day. Get out of here.
Yeah. So one of the things that we have done as an organization is we have created a program called Hotel Heroes.
Nice.
And we will go into hotels and we ask people around the country who know of good hotels. We have a page on our website where you can actually write in a hotel that you would recommend staying at.
Yeah.
And if they're really good and they get there's a checklist of things that they have to do in order to be a part of this program. And if they get all of the checks on the checklist, they become a hotel hero and they get a certificate, they get an award, they get put up on our website, they get because people travel and they want to know that they're staying in a hotel that understands what they're dealing with. Right. I have another issue. I have horrible asthma, and I can't be anywhere where there's a scent. And we were in a restaurant yesterday, and the hostess was walking back and forth, and we almost got up and left, but we know the manager. And I said, hey, so-and-so, come on over here. Got to talk to you for a second. I said, you need to let that young lady know that if she's going to be working here, she cannot drench herself in cologne because people are allergic to these things and it will make them sick. Goodness. And he said, well, this is only her second day working here. We will have that discussion. So, but I mean, it's a lot of little, and I have service dog, and I cannot go into any place that's a public place where I don't get, you can't bring that dog in here. And so we've started a program. I created handouts, big postcards that have information on the ADA rules and regulations on what you can and can't do with a service dog, what is allowed, what isn't allowed, from both sides, from the side of the person who has the dog, what can I expect, and also from the side of the organizations, the restaurants, the hotels, wherever.
So is all that on the website? Can people find all that?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I love that. That is so cool. There's so much we could talk about, and there's so much that we're not going to be able to fit in because we're already out of time. But we could do that. I'm telling you, we could probably do a whole nother hour. So maybe we'll talk about coming back because I swear we got more to talk about, and there's more that we want to share with all of you. So, but for today, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful that we were able to connect and do this. So thank you.
Yeah. I am thrilled that I was able to share. Thank you.
All right. Everybody, I am so thankful that we got to do that. And thank you for watching and thank you for being here. And like, follow, subscribe, share. If you find a favorite episode that you like, share it out. Get everybody to watch it. And like that one with Beatrice Bruno, it's such an amazing episode. Go back and check it out. Next show is going to be awesome. Hallie Stocks is my guest, and she is going to be talking about overcoming depression that led to an eating disorder and how she overcame all that and now is a thriving health coach. It's going to be amazing. Tuesday, October 24th. You're not going to want to miss it. Join us then. Until then, have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time.